Okay, so it's, again, Winterreise keeps coming to my head because once we've started this journey now, it's like we are in it and there is no escaping it. So, what I love about this transition from number 6 to number 7 is Kevin has opened us up into this world of possibility, gathering paradise with our little narrow hands. And out of nowhere, we're going to go into the death, the world of the death. Emily wrote about death a lot. This is one of her truly most famous, most well known, most studied poems. She encountered a lot of death in her life. It was a big, she was constantly having to revisit this theme and navigate her way through the loss of many people in her life. And so she wrote this poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death. Number 712. I mean, it's like, it is literally right in the middle of her works. Just like, boom, because I could not stop for death. Sort of 1863, it looks like, sort of written. She had lived, right? I'm going to read the poem as I do always, because that is always my starting point for working on these pieces. And I think as you all get to know this better as well, the keys continually to be, or the doors continually to be opened through the key of her words and her poetry. Anytime as the guys and I were working on the music, or we were, collaborating a bit with Kevin about it, it was like we would keep coming back, hold on, what is she saying? What's the pacing? What's the meaning? As best as we can tell, of her words. So I love starting these long videos with the poetry. So, because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. I love even in the third stanza, she quickens time. Let me start at the beginning. So, I couldn't stop for death. He kindly stopped for me. This isn't a rash, violent acquisition. There's kindness, and it comes in a carriage. And it was only her and death and immortality in the carriage. And they slowly drove. He wasn't in a hurry. It's like it's all good. Time is just there, just present. And my labor, my leisure, I left it all. Civilly, right? Then this third stanza, listen to how she speeds up time, because she's going to go through the youth and the adulthood and then older age. Listen to We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun. So the youth takes a little bit longer, and there's a little bit more explanation. The fields of gazing grain, and then the setting sun. That's, I think about this, how much quicker, time goes as you get older. And I just realized, it's the first time I've realized that. She paces it to where you feel the speeding up of time, just in that third stanza. But actually, he passed us. And then all of a sudden, when she says, or rather, so death has shown her her life. And then, or rather, there is this shift in tenor, and things become cold, and things become a bit more desolate. The dews are quivering, and they're cold, and my gown, it's barely visible. It's just gossamer. It's not even of this earth anymore. And all of a sudden, they're pausing before this house, and swelling in the ground, the grave. She sees the grave. And then it's been centuries, and yet it barely even feels like a day, where she first realized the horse's head's already, I'm here forever. This is eternal. This is eternal. I mean, that is just a poem just to revisit every year, because each time you encounter it, you will have a different emotional reaction to it. I first sang that poem, my senior recital at Wichita State University, written by Aaron Copland, the famous 2012 Emily Dickinson songs. I also recorded them for my very first solo recording. I wanted to be in that world of American song, American poetry, and these pieces have always resonated so much. But my world and encounter of the poem when I was 22, having really never left Kansas, more or less, is very different than 2026, on the precipice of another decade, actually, arriving shortly, and having lived the world. And this is poetry. It keeps unveiling, and it keeps mirroring elements of yourself to yourself and meeting you where you are. I freaking love it. So this, I actually can't show you too much musically. It's complicated to play, and I'm going to slow it down. So the marking is traveling gently, 116. And Kevin asks for it to be pianissimo in the strings, absolutely even without accents. So, those of you who are musicians and you're preparing, that the composer will give you a lot of information in that. So clearly I cannot accomplish that with my piano skills, but I'll just give you an idea of it. It is very steady. It's solid eighth notes, and eighth notes throughout, the whole piece. Except for one little section where she sees the grave, it's constant, steady eighth note, but he's changing the meter. And so it has this unsettling, you feel that death and the chariot is relentless. Daga, 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 daga. And yet the meter changes. 4 4 3 4 4 4 5 8. So it's da 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 da. And it's just this little hiccup that he writes into the time signature, where you feel it's like that final death rattle, or the cold, she sees her breath. It's so evocative. And this is the tonality. And then it goes. It's just brilliant. This is one of my favorite songs of the cycle. It's not true, they're all my favorite. But because he really highlights the singing of the guys in this, to where they are almost the horses in the carriage. Because I repeat them, I echo them. They start at the beginning, and it's, because I could not stop for Then I come in. He kindly stopped for me. And immortality. So the gentleman singing while playing these constant, even, unaccented eighth notes, which is the carriage, it's as if they're the horses and they're leading, and she's being pulled, right? Because they announce it and she responds. So you really musically have the sensation of her being carried for his civility. And then all four of us line up and we're singing the same words. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. And so we're traveling together, the four of us vocally. And it's only when the dews draw quivering and chill and my gossamer gown that I start to be highlighted, and they are falling behind because she now is understanding where she's being taken. And these eighth notes are going and they're getting bigger. We paused. And then now the voice is going to open up and the eighth note propulsion stops as they pause. So the carriage stops moving, the eighth notes stop, and we're left with this. Before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground, the roof was scarcely visible. This is a fun note. Kevin wrote, the roof was scarcely visible. And I asked if we could change the notes, and he's so lovely. He was like, yeah, I wanted it more, so I want this like Baroque dissonance in it. The roof was scarcely visible, the Cornice. So I changed two notes, and it makes it a little bit harder to sing, a little bit more, I love it, in the ground. And then since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feel shorter than a day. I first surmised and the carriage music comes back. So when she says, it's shorter than a day, I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Yeah, and then they echo me, and it keeps going. And interestingly enough, Kevin brings back the opening, because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. Almost all the poetry in the cycle is exactly as she wrote it, almost without any repetition, barely. This is one place that he repeats. And what I love about it is you feel this cycle of death. Now he's coming for the next one. And now he's coming for the next one. And now he comes for the next one. And as it goes, he kindly stopped for me. The guys just fade out. And it's exactly as the song started. So this one person has her encounter with death and the realization that it is for eternity. And she settles in. She's there now. It could be a day. It could be centuries. And meanwhile, the carriage goes on to the next. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece because I could not stop for death. I wonder what comes next.